If you keep running inward, they'll think you're there. Make some noise, maybe. Fire your gun.
Hang on.
Fire your gun, fire your gun, fire your gun. Debating.
Nothing. Got him.
There
Yes,
we go.
dude. Yes. With ground loot guns, we just won.
That was a perfect debate.
It's time to talk about Warzone's new mode, Iron Trials 84. Now you guys know I've been asking for Warzone for a while to offer something of a more skillful variety of Warzone. Warzone with less random stuff happening. Warzone with less ways to die that feel inconsistent or unfair. Warzone with a higher skill ceiling. And that is exactly what Iron Trials 84 offers. And I've been deeply, deeply impressed by this mode, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. Now, Iron Trials 84 is a very different mode, and there's lots to go into here. But it definitely seems like this is either a attempt at Warzone Ranked, and that we may see a Warzone Ranked playlist in the future, or that this is a test to overhaul Warzone completely, and make Iron Trials 84 the standard within Warzone. So let's talk about the changes within Iron Trials, and the first one is a higher time to kill. The base player health in this mode has been increased and healing rates have been reduced, making for a much longer time to kill in Warzone. Typically in Warzone with regular health and plates you have 250 health. In Iron Trials your base health alone is 250. With an added 150 of plates, bringing a grand total of 400 health versus the 250 health in regular Warzone. This higher time to kill really allows for you to react when you've been fired upon in Iron Trials. It gives you the ability to move and the option to try and get out of the way, which is something that doesn't really exist in Warzone today. When somebody sees you out in the open or sees you where there's not 100% amount of cover, you're pretty much more or less dead in regular Warzone. In Iron Trials, you get the opportunity to move, but players who maintain accuracy at longer and medium ranges are rewarded for the accuracy as they do more damage than people who cannot maintain that accuracy. Overall, it makes Warzone more fun and more engaging and allows you more time to react. It's definitely dragging out engagements for much longer as well and making gunfights more of an interactive experience. Rather than it being over in half a second, sometimes you can be in the midst of a battle for at least a minute or two, and it makes for a much more interesting environment where players can rotate out of battles with plates, or they can rotate into battles by trying to use utilities, and players who are more accurate are rewarded. I've had players who have challenged me in Iron Trials who had the drop on me, but because they missed their shots and I got a couple headshots in, I fractionally beat out the fact that they had the drop on me. In regular Warzone, if anybody has the drop on you, you're pretty much dead instantly. Now there'd be no point in changing the higher TTK without changing sniper rifles, and in Iron Trials, sniper rifles have been changed. Under 30 meters, a headshot will result in a down, a full 400 health being depleted from a headshot. However, over 30 meters, that drops down to 300, meaning that you'd need a headshot and a body shot over 30 meters in order to down somebody. This is a really great change, and it means that players who are sitting in higher locations, sitting on top of buildings, or trying to snipe for easy kills now have to use the sniper more aggressively to make it more impactful. If you're more than 30 meters away from somebody, you're pretty much ruined. It certainly hasn't made snipers redundant, and they still have their place in the game, but it does ode for an extra aggression or another level of aggression within the playstyle, and it's something that makes the game mode, again, much better than regular Warzone. On top of that, in Iron Trials, they've also changed the amount of damage you take from falling damage, and you can now survive a fall of up to 30 meters. And that means you can jump off the side of train station without parachuting, you can jump off of parts of twins without parachuting, and other buildings like factory rooftop without parachuting. And this gives another layer of mobility to the game mode to allow you to move more easily and get less caught out in the open. It means that combined with a higher TTK, you can move around, be more nimble, and be rewarded for your movement, whether that's rotating out to get some health or reload, or rotating back in to try and get the drop on someone. More mobility options alongside a higher TTK and a reduction in sniper rifle gameplay means that this is pretty much the ultimate Warzone experience. So what other changes have they made? There are now no free loadout drops, and loadout drops now cost $15,000 at the buy station. This is a very intelligent move from Raven Software, and let me explain why. When you take away free loadout drops, it means lots of people now have to loot on the ground, and the opening 10 minutes of Iron Trials 84 is a lot of players rotating locations because they need to loot in order to get their loadout. It also means that less people are able to go ghosted because they can't afford 2 loadouts in one game, and it means on top of everything that people are maneuvering more often. Rather than landing in one named location, instantly getting your loadout and then never moving around the map, people are being forced to move to multiple locations, meaning more gunfights, more fun, and more regular engagements. They've adjusted a lot of the ground loot as well to include more weapons with higher magazine capacity so that if you lose your loadout, or if you happen to not have your loadout drop, you're not completely ruined in the overall state of things. They've also taken away a real amount of annoyances in Warzone. Stun grenades now do 50% less impact, meaning that stun grenades are no longer OP, and they have been for ages, and they're completely non-competitive, and I'm finally glad that they've nerfed it in something. There is no stopping power and no dead silence, which means that there's no cheap ways for people to get kills that don't involve them outplaying somebody. If you're in the gulag, there's no nonsense like akimbo weapons, semi-auto weapons, full auto shotguns, and there's no tactical equipment such as stun grenades, meaning that if you're in the gulag, you actually have to outshoot and outmaneuver somebody, as opposed to just using a very easy item to get the win. There's a few other changes as well. Health regen takes a little bit longer. If you want to buy something like a UAV, that's now $6,000, and things generally in the buy stations are more expensive. And there's some other changes alongside that, such as a new rarity of weapon called the redacted weapons, which are weapons which have up to 7 or 8 attachments depending on the gun. And these are super rare to find, and sometimes they're pretty good, sometimes they're a little so-so, but it's an interesting random addition to the game. This is very much Warzone stripped back to the core of its gameplay. It rewards movement, it rewards people who are accurate, it rewards people who know how to work in a team. Often whilst playing this mode with Westy, I would find myself starting an engagement, cycling out of the gunfight to rearm, and then cycling back in. You know, effectively allowing Westy to soak up some of the damage whilst I rearmed, and then going back in for more damage. The same kind of rotations you would expect to see in a game like Apex Legends. And it's just overarchingly a far more skillful mode that rewards tactical gameplay. It's currently only duos, but could be expanded to trios, quads, or whatever needed it be, and it just works so much better. They've even taken away some vehicles. There's no helicopters, so people can't just camp in the middle of the zone at the best building. You know, they actually have to move to that location on foot to get there. There's no Big Bertha trucks, meaning that you can't just, you know, sponge bullets and get to any location as you please. The only ones available in the game are ATVs and dirt bikes, which are risky vehicles, so that means that if you use them, there is an inherent risk that you could get dropped by another team. And that's something that's a much better system. Overarchingly, after a day or two of playing this, and I actually got shadow banned after playing Iron Trials because we won lots of games, it's just a fantastic experience. You know, this is everything Warzone should be. Intelligent gameplay being rewarded, good strategy being rewarded, no cheap kills, no easy ways to camp, no easy ways to just sit in spots, and something that rewards solid team play. This is probably the best I've seen Warzone in quite some time that strips back all the annoying things in the games like dead silence and stopping power, and I really hope we get to see more of this in the future. Whether this replaces the default Warzone, or if this is the beginning of Warzone Ranked, whatever it needs to be, I really want to see more. So folks, make sure you go and try out Iron Trials. There's about a week or two left of it. It's very different from anything you've probably seen before. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a sub, and I'll catch you again in the next one.